The impact John Woo has had on action cinema is unmeasurable, but when he hit screens with his brand of wuxia-inspired gunfights, cinema would never be the same again. This Hong Kong-based auteur perfected the art of presenting shootouts as poetic ballets, as highly stylized moments of chaos. He managed to change the way we would imagine a cinematic firefight forever. And arguably no film conveys this better than his 1992 masterpiece, Hard Boiled. Coming off of some of his most accomplished films like A Better Tomorrow 1 and 2, The Killer and the epic Bullet in the Head, John Woo had arguably proven himself to be a master of action cinema, but Hard Boiled arguably would be his best work yet. In this film, Woo tells the story of Tequila, a police inspector played by Chow Yun-fat, a frequent leading man for Woo. In an opening gunfight, Tequila's partner gets killed. In frustration, he executes the killers and immediately gets removed from the case. That doesn't stop him though, as he spirals into a world of undercover cops, triad gangs, and hyper-violence. The film reaches its climax in a single-take sequence that happens in a hospital. Not only does Woo perfect his style here, but he also transcends it. In this single sequence, he manages to encapsulate everything he does so well in a perfectly orchestrated scene. You will often hear people talk about, myself included, the action cinema of Hong Kong, specifically this era that Woo himself operates in. It was a time when crime cinema was slick, action was intense and stylized, it dealt with honour and masculinity, and it showcased a period of Hong Kong at a time when it was approaching big social and economical changes. In many ways, Hard Boiled is one of the finest examples of that period of filmmaking. The film would also be Woo's final film before he transitioned to Hollywood. As a result, it feels like a culmination of everything he accomplished in Hong Kong, a swan song to this period of his career. It also feels like the finale to an era of Hong Kong's golden age of action cinema, as many directors began following Woo to America, and Hong Kong cinema begins to shift as the handover soon approaches. Hence, Hard Boiled stands as a monument to what Hong Kong cinema was once capable of creating, as the Woo that would return to Hong Kong eventually was no longer the John Woo who made Hard Boiled, nor was this the John Woo who went to America. Hard Boiled remains as a crowning achievement of not only John Woo's filmography then, but of Hong Kong action cinema as a whole. The film has some of the finest actors of the time, and one of the nation's best directors, working together on one of its finest pieces of cinema. Hard Boiled will transport you to Hong Kong in the early 90s and leave you with a lasting impression as you witness one of the most dazzling examples of action cinema that this art form has to offer. And that is why you should watch Hard Boiled.